Jordan Belfort in Wolf of Wall Street had a lot of. It was a really good movie, but the guy had a lot of issues, a lot of things that went wrong. And what I'm talking about today is how he had a little bit of a problem with self control. When this started, he was a young guy in Wall Street, just a normal guy. And then as time went on, he started getting into some drugs, started doing a lot of stuff with the ladies, and he began to become highly addicted to it, which in the short term was very fun, I would assume, but in the long term, it actually ended up hurting him very negatively. I believe he was married twice in this, and the first wife he had seemed like a nice, sweet lady, and then, he found a model. There's the first thing of self-control. He couldn't control himself. He started doing stuff with this model. And then his wife found out, and she's gone, so he takes the model. Problem with the model is that she was into him when he was at, his peak form, which he wasn't going to be at forever. And throughout the movie, she starts to fancy him less and less. And then eventually, when he starts to lose a lot of his money, she also goes with it. So it's not really that loyal. And I've looked stuff up. It says she's been abused and stuff. But my question is, why did she never speak up, during their relationship? I don't know. But perhaps she also left him because he could not control himself at all. They had kids, and this guy was still going crazy with the drugs and the partying and the other girls. So maybe that's the other reason why she left him, because he just didn't have the self-control needed to, keep this lady with him. Either of them, both of his wives, he couldn't keep them because he couldn't control his body and his temptations. Now, you might think that this is all going to be about how his lack of control was negative, but I'm actually going to, touch on the other side, how it was beneficial. This guy he was a workaholic. I mean, he built this, what was that? I don't know, whatever firm he had, some crazy amounts. He was making millions upon millions upon millions, all because he couldn't control himself. He was just so, dedicated to his grind and, winning, that he was indeed an extremely successful guy externally, and got a lot of physical rewards for that. But with those rewards, becomes great responsibility. Lame ass, corny ass thing to say, but it's true, because he couldn't control himself. Even when he's considering stepping down, he's got it all. It's all set up for him. I don't know if this is real, but I'm basing this off the movie. Oh, some mostly, but he decided not to step down. He kept doing it legally, and then eventually it catches up to him. He goes to jail for a few years, and that's also a negative to the self control thing. So it's positive for the reasons that he was filthy successful, but negative because of how he couldn't control this amount of power he had. His greed was definitely a big issue, because he did have a chance to walk out and leave to enjoy his family and loved ones for the rest of because he'd probably be set for life money wise, but he did end up staying, and it did bite him in the ass. Even though I believe he started doing it legally, it still caught up to him, because he was still, I guess, in the waters for the agents to find that dirty stuff on him and pick him off, because he decided to stay in the game due to his greedy mindset of purely winning when he's already won the game. His lust is also an extremely huge issue. He's addicted to it. He states that in the movie, and he cannot control his body, and he's a total player. I mean, this guy was with so many girls, but it came with a cost, because his first wife initially left him because of that. His first wife was probably a little bit more loyal than the second one, because, she was with him from ground zero when he was a complete nobody until, he started getting big. Second wife, however, she, maybe it was the same thing. I'm not necessarily sure. It probably had a lot to do with the fact that he was a complete player and he couldn't slow himself down. I mean, he could have, but he had a hard time controlling himself. And this might have made him more attractive in the short term, but in the long term, when you start having kids and the player act continues to go on, the mother might be like, well, can you clean up your act a little bit? Stuff like that. You can apply this to your life for beneficial reasons. Me personally, how I would apply this movie to my life is to work relentlessly in business purposes, but try to be able to control myself physically to extent so that I do not hurt myself too much in the long term. I think Jordan's biggest issue was that he just wanted more and more and more and more and more, couldn't control himself, and it ended up being his demise. So I believe another thing you could take out from this is that you should maybe perhaps not always be looking into the future, wanting more and more and more and more and more, and be more pleased with what you have in the moment. Maybe not pleased with it, but enjoy the process at least of getting to the point of great success as enriches externally, even internally. I think that if Jordan was able to control his greed and his lust, he'd be in a very different place right now. There probably would never be a movie on the Wolf of Wall Street. He'd probably just be, on some yacht down who knows where, some really nice place. I believe his lust and his greed were probably the two biggest self control problems he had throughout this movie.